Welcome, my weird witches. You've found Raven's Lorecast, where folklore, fire, and a little fierce honesty all meet in the same cauldron. I'm Raven Lorekeeper, storyteller, witch, and your unapologetic guide through myth, magic, and all the places the world told you not to wander. This podcast exists because magic deserves to be honest, witchcraft deserves to be inclusive, and every one of us who grew up other deserves a place to finally exhale. So pour yourself something comforting, settle in, and remember, the world may not have been built for us, but the magic was. Take a breath with me, weird ones. In and out. If you have a glass of water nearby, keep it close. If not, imagine it. Cool, clear, patient. Water has never needed permission to show up for you. It just always does. Welcome, beloveds, to this week's gathering in Raven's Lorecast, where magic is not metaphor, where memory has weight, and where the elements still remember who we are, even when the world tries to make us forget. Tonight, we step into the realm of water, not just the element, not just the full moon above us, but the oldest witness on earth. Water is the first storyteller, the first mirror, the first healer, the first keeper of secrets. It has held everything that has ever lived. It has carried every grief that has ever softened. It has listened to every prayer ever whispered into tide, rain, river, or bath. And tonight, water will listen to you. But before we get there, before the ritual, before you place your hands in the bowl or step beneath the shower stream, I want to tell you a truth that gently shapes the path we're walking. There are moments in every life when water becomes more than hydration, more than cleansing, more than necessity. Moments when you don't choose water, water chooses you. It calls your name. It knows before you do what you're holding. It knows what must leave your body so your spirit can continue. I'll tell you more later in this episode. For now, all you need to know is this. Tonight's ritual is not about manifesting. It's not about performing magic. It's about remembering the magic you were born with, the one water never forgot. So settle in, light a candle if you have one, dim the lights, or let the dark be what it is, the soft container where real things happen. Tonight we honor the full moon by honoring the water inside us, around us, and before us. Tonight, we let water speak. Tonight, weird ones, I want to take you somewhere sacred. Not to a temple, not to a stone circle, not to a library carved into the bones of the manor. Tonight, I want to take you to the place where memory was born. Water. Before we were breath, we were tide. Before we were bone, we were current. Before we were names, we were patterns written in salt. Every culture that has ever touched the earth has known this truth. Water is not just a substance. Water is a witness. Water is a keeper. Water is alive. And if you listen close enough, you'll realize it remembers you. So let's wander tonight through the world's oldest stories, and a story of my own, to understand why the water knows your name. Let's begin with the simplest truth your body already carries. You were water before you were anything else. Your amniotic world was a sea. Your cells float in fluids patterned after ancient oceans. Your nervous system responds to the sound of waves like it's remembering a childhood lullaby. Science calls it the mammalian dive reflex. Mystics call it the remembering. I call it both. Water is the first home you ever knew. And like all first homes, part of you has spent your entire life trying to get back to it. Across the world, water isn't a symbol. It's a deity, a teacher, a bridge, an ancestor. Let's walk through a few lightly with reverence. Shinto and Misogi. In Japan, devotees stand beneath waterfalls to wash away spiritual heaviness. They don't ask the water to purify them, they ask it to remember them into balance. Yoruba, Oshun. The river goddess Oshun embodies sweetness, fertility, healing, and the power of love to restore what the world tries to destroy. Her waters are called the river that holds your reflection steady. The Hindus have Ganga Devi. The Ganges isn't just a river, it's a goddess who descended from the heavens to cleanse human sorrow. People step into her waters believing she can take what is too heavy to carry. Celtics had sacred wells. In old Celtic lands, wells and springs were portals, not metaphors, literal portals. People left offerings because they believed the water answered. And in indigenous nations across North America, water is not resource. It is relative. It is grandmother. It is the carrier of prayers. It is the teacher that reminds humans how to move as one. Polynesian peoples see the ocean as the original mother. It birthed gods, islands, and genealogies. To swim is to enter the body of creation itself. And Arctic peoples in the far north, water is both danger and destiny. Sea and ice teach respect, humility, and interconnectedness. Even frozen water is alive, moving in ways only the land and its people understand. Across continents, across ages, across languages, the message is the same. Water knows. Water holds. Water heals. And that brings me to the tender part of tonight's story. Here's the question you've felt but maybe never spoken. Why does water feel personal? Why do you cry in the shower but nowhere else? Why does a lake feel like a mirror? Why does the ocean steal your breath in the best possible way? Why does moonlit water feel like a conversation? Here's my answer in plain language. Water is pattern. Pattern is memory. Memory is presence. Presence is spirit. Spirit is relationship. And you are made of all of that. When water touches you, it's not wetness, it's recognition. It's the universe saying, I remember you. Do you remember yourself? And now, the story of why I know this to be true. When I was very young, too young to understand the cruelty of adults, I was left in the care of a man who should have kept me safe. He didn't. A friend of my grandfather, a grown man who chose harm in a moment where kindness could have changed everything. And like so many children who are hurt by adults, I didn't have the words. What I had was bruises on my small body, a confusion I couldn't name, and an instinct older than civilization. Get away. Run. Into the light. Into the heat. Into anything that isn't him. The day was blistering, 112 degrees. The air shimmering like it wanted to lift off the earth. I remember my feet pounding over the packed earth, my breath burning in my throat. The world too big and too bright for a moment that felt so dark. And then, the edge. A raised ledge overlooking the Salton Sea. A cliff that, to a child, felt like the edge of the world. I didn't pause, not for fear, not for thought, not for anything. I jumped. For a heartbeat, I was flying, weightless, limitless, a tiny body breaking free of gravity and grief at the same time. And then, impact. Cold. Silence. The shock of the water tore the heat from my skin. It wrapped me in something vast and ancient. The bruises screamed and then stopped. I floated on my back, tiny arms spread, eyes open to a sky that suddenly felt kind again. And that's when I heard it. Not with ears, not with imagination, but with the part of the soul that remembers where it came from. A voice, strong, soft, everywhere. Inside the water, outside my body, inside my chest. It said, "Give it all to me. I can hold it. Leave it here." And I did. The tears flowed into the water like an offering. The panic dissolved. The pain quieted. And for the first time that day, maybe the first time in my life, I felt safe. Water didn't just soothe me. Water didn't just cool me. Water claimed me. That was the day I learned water remembers. And sometimes water remembers you back to yourself. There is more to this story, a version that can only be shared in sacred space with people who choose to hear it. You'll find that inside the circle I've built for those who want to walk deeper with me. You're probably wondering what this means for you. Maybe you haven't jumped from a ledge. Maybe your story looks different. But if you've ever sat under a shower crying because it was the only place you felt permission, floated in a lake and felt something in your chest loosen, walked into the ocean and felt your anger drain like tide, washed your hands and felt the overwhelm rinse away, drunk a glass of water and felt strangely grounded, stood in the rain and felt it speak, then you know what I'm talking about. Water holds the things you can't. Water carries what your body isn't designed to store. Water takes the weight and returns you to balance, especially under the full moon. Because the moon doesn't just pull the tides, it pulls the water inside you too. And that is why, weird ones, the ritual we're doing tonight works. Not because it's mystical, but because it is biologically, emotionally, spiritually ancient. You're not learning something new. You're remembering something you always knew. Up next, we'll talk about the moon overhead. Why this full moon in this season under this sky amplifies water's ability to hold, soothe, transform, and return you to yourself. Then, in Kitchen Witchery, we'll walk step by step through the ritual that has saved me more times than I can count. For now, sit with this truth. The water remembers, and it knows your name. All right, weird ones, take a breath with me. Not because we're about to do something dramatic, but because tonight's sky doesn't ask for spectacle. It asks for listening. January 4th, 2026, places us beneath a waning gibbous moon, still 98 to 99% illuminated, just hours past her exact fullness. The full moon peaked the night before, January 3rd, but lunar work doesn't operate on a switch. It operates on tide, and tide doesn't care about calendars. This is still full moon water, still saturated, still remembering. The moon tonight is traveling through Cancer, her home sign. Not symbolically, not poetically, literally. Cancer is ruled by the moon herself, which means this isn't just a bright moon in the sky. It's a moon in resonance with her own nature. Cancer governs water, memory, emotional imprint, the body's recall, the ancestral field, the tides that move beneath conscious thought. This is not a moon that pushes outward. It pulls inward. And under a moon like this, the question is not, what do I want to manifest? But what already knows me? Because water does not forget. Let's clear something up gently but firmly. Astrologically, ritualistically, and biologically, full moon energy does not end at the moment of peak illumination. That's a human need for timestamps, not a lunar reality. The moon tonight is still holding almost all her light. She is still reflecting the sun completely. She is still flooding the night sky. What's different is direction. The waning gibbous phase marks the moment when illumination stops increasing and begins to settle. This is not release yet. This is integration. The moon has shown you everything she's going to show you for this cycle, and now she asks, what are you doing with what you've seen? That question matters deeply in Cancer, because Cancer does not process through logic. She processes through feeling, embodiment, memory, and water. Cancer is not the sign of tears for the sake of tears. It is the sign of containment, the womb, the shell, the tide pool, the place where life is held long enough to form. Under a Cancer moon, emotions don't announce themselves loudly. They surface quietly, in the body, in your throat, in your chest, in the heaviness behind your eyes, in the places you didn't realize were still holding something. This moon governs how you were loved, how you learned safety, how you learned to self-soothe, what your body remembers even when your mind has moved on. And here's the key truth for tonight's episode. Water does not store memory symbolically. It stores memory physically. Your body is mostly water. Your blood, your lymph, your cerebrospinal fluid, your tears. When we say the water knows your name, we are not being poetic. We are being accurate. Now look around the moon. Tonight, she passes near M44, the Beehive Cluster, also known as Praesepe, in the constellation Cancer. This is one of the oldest star clusters observed by humans. Ancient astronomers knew it. Farmers watched it. Sailors navigated by it. It was called a manger, a cradle, a gathering place. A cluster is not a single star shouting for attention. It is many lights held together, exactly like memory. Nearby, Jupiter blazes in Gemini, unusually bright as it approaches opposition. Jupiter magnifies whatever it touches. In Gemini, that means stories, language, patterns, dual truths held at once. Jupiter here doesn't demand certainty, it expands meaning. The moon visually approaching Jupiter tonight creates a conversation between emotional memory, which is the moon in Cancer, and narrative meaning, which is Jupiter in Gemini. This is a night when feelings want words and words want honesty. Early this morning, the Quadrantan meteor shower reached its peak, one of the strongest of the year. But the moon's brilliance washed most of it out. And that matters, because not all cosmic movement is meant to be witnessed. Some of it happens whether you see it or not. The quadrantids remind us that intensity does not require visibility. Transformation does not need an audience. At the same time, Comet 24P Chalmais reached its closest point to Earth, a slow traveler, visible only with aid, tracing a long elliptical path through Virgo. Comets don't rush. They return when they're ready. So does memory. The sun remains in Capricorn, the sign of structure, responsibility, and long memory. Capricorn is often misunderstood as cold or rigid, but Capricorn remembers what worked. Under this sun, the question is, what emotional truths can actually support a life, not just be felt and forgotten? This creates a quiet tension with the Cancer moon. Feeling versus form. Memory versus application. Water versus container. And this tension is not a problem. It is the work, because water without a vessel spills everywhere, and structure without water cracks. Tonight's sky asks for both. So let me say this plainly, without mysticism, without frosting. This is not a night for charging objects. This is not a night for grand declarations. This is not a night for calling things in. This is a night for remembering, for listening to what your body already knows, for honoring the stories your water has been carrying quietly, for letting emotion surface without needing to solve it. The full moon already did her revealing. Tonight, she says, let it settle. Let it speak. Let it be held. Because water does not need to be commanded. It remembers you because it is you. And under this moon in Cancer, bright, full, and still listening, the most powerful thing you can do is tell the truth to the part of you that never forgot it. All right, weird ones. We've traveled far tonight. We've walked through the tides of memory. We've talked about how water witnesses us. We've named things that were hard to name. We've felt the moon tug at the places inside us that hold old stories. And now we come to the kitchen, because the body needs grounding after emotional truth-telling, because the nervous system needs warmth after release, because magic is never complete until it enters your hands. Tonight, we're making something slow, gentle, lunar, a full moon sweet potato stew designed to help your spirit settle after whatever surfaced in you earlier. A stew that honors the truth we spoke about water, that it holds memory, that it softens hardness, that it knows your name. On full moons, people think the magic happens in the sky, but the real magic happens in the body. You can't integrate what you've remembered if your vessel is shaking. So this stew is warm, soft, nourishing. A bowl that tells your system you're allowed to rest now. Here's how the ingredients work together. Sweet potatoes represent grounding, strength, and safety. The onion and garlic are clarity, truth, and protection. Ginger, courage without chaos. Coconut milk, emotional soothing. Broth, the water element that carries intention. Cilantro and lemongrass is cleansing and release. Cinnamon and turmeric, warmth, circulation, metaphysical healing. And lime for awakening. Together, they make a bowl that feels like the moon exhaling into your hands. Gather together 2 sweet potatoes cubed, 1 onion diced, 3 to 4 garlic cloves minced, 1-inch ginger grated, 2 to 3 cups of vegetable broth, 1 can of coconut milk, cilantro, lemongrass, cinnamon, turmeric, lime, olive oil, salt, and pepper. Before you chop a single thing, pause. Put your hands on the ingredients. Feel their temperature, their weight. Ask yourself, what am I ready to soften? What am I ready to release? Let each slice be an exhale, an unclenching, a letting go of whatever rose to the surface before. Warm the olive oil, then add onion. Let it sizzle. Transformation beginning. Add the garlic. Add ginger. Let their fragrance lift the energy around you. Next, the sweet potatoes join the circle. Add them and stir clockwise, also known as diacetyl, inviting movement and blessing. Next, the water enters. Pour in the vegetable broth. As this water softens what is hard, may it soften what is heavy in me. Say it out loud, or just think it. This is the heart of the spell. This is the moment water remembers you. Next, let it bubble gently. Let your breath follow that rhythm. Add the coconut milk. Watch the stew turn to velvet. Add herbs, add spices. Let the kitchen smell like release. Finish with lime, the awakening edge of clarity. Each ingredient does metaphysical labor. Sweet potatoes call your spirit back into your body. Ginger stirs courage without destabilizing you. Garlic clears emotional residue. Coconut milk soothes the nervous system so truth can land gently. Broth carries intention like a river carries silt. Cilantro cuts through stuck emotions. Lemongrass purifies and sharpens intuition. Cinnamon and turmeric warm, protect, and restore. And lime wakes up the parts of you that have gone quiet. This bowl is a ritual in itself. Sit somewhere quiet. Hold the bowl with both hands. Let the steam touch your face. Taste slow. Let the sweetness remind you of gentleness. Let the lime remind you of clarity. Let the broth remind you of oceans older than language. This is what softening feels like. This is what releasing feels like. This is what remembering safely feels like. When your bowl is nearly empty, whisper, "What was heavy has softened. What was sharp has eased. What was mine to release is carried. What remains is only what I am becoming." You are not alone in this work. The moon is here. The water is listening. Your story is held. Take one last breath with me, weird ones. Slow, warm, deep enough that your ribs rise like a tide. Tonight, you walked with me into deep water. Not metaphorical water, memory water. The kind that holds your name, your ache, your becoming. We talked about the science, the lore, the myth, the moon. But the truth beneath all of that is simple. Water is the first thing that ever held you, and it will hold you long after you leave this moment. Maybe tonight stirred something in you, a memory, a pulse, a truth that lives under the surface of your life. Whatever rose up, let it be enough. You did something brave just by listening. You sat in a story that wasn't easy. You stayed with your body. You stayed with your breath. You stayed with the part of you that needed this. That alone is magic. Now the ritual you performed, let it continue to work its way into you. Full moons are like that. They reveal, they soften, they shift the sediment at the bottom of the well. So don't rush to make meaning. Meaning will find you. It always does. If you can, step outside tonight and look at the moon. Watch how the light touches everything without asking permission. Watch how it pulls every ocean, every river, every vein of water on the planet, including yours. That tug you feel in your chest, that's the part of you that is older than your wounds, the part of you that survived, the part of you that is still rising. Carry that with you. And if this episode moved something in you, or if you want to hear the deeper chapter of my story, the one I only share in safe spaces, I recorded it so that the right people could find it when they're ready. You'll find that chapter, the written version and the raw spoken one, over on the Ravens Lorecast Patreon. But whether you join me or not, you belong here. You're part of this tide now. Thank you for listening with your whole self. Thank you for being gentle with the parts of you that needed tonight. Thank you for being gentle with the parts of you that needed tonight. Thank you for trusting the water. Wit, wisdom, witchcraft. See you next time, weird ones. Thank you, my weird witches, for giving me a little of your time and your beautiful attention today. If this episode stirred something in you, a memory, a spark, a question, a fire, please share it. Spread the word. That's how our circle grows. You can find me on socials at Ravens Lorecast on Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky, and at Ravens_lore_cast on Instagram and Threads. And if you've got a question, a story, a spellcraft request, or just the world's cutest familiar photo, email me at raven@ravenslorecast.com. I really do read them. Until next time, keep your fire tended, your humor wicked, and your heart brave and wide open. This is Raven Lorekeeper, signing off with love, grit, and a whisper of magic on your path.